Oh my God. You've got to see this. I was going to talk about something else, but apparently this just showed up on Twitter. What is this shit? I'm just going to start it over. Genuinely upsetting how passionately racist this one was. Okay, I'm just going to play it for you. Yeah. Yeah. I had to full screen that one. Where do I begin? Where do I begin, Buttercup? Let's go over this bit by bit, shall we? Of course it does. Because ever since that orange dotard got into the political arena, ever since he got into office, this is the type of shit we are stuck dealing with in this country. Okay? These people are bold and they're brash and they have no self awareness, no sense of shame, no sense of decency. This little bitch is sitting here going off like she's so profound and she's so smart and she's bringing up something that nobody else has the balls to bring up. You're all bringing it up. You're all bringing it up, and you would have never brought it up if it weren't for this whole Trump alpha male jack off tough shit American hayseed. I hate everybody and I'm a patriot for it bullshit. It's Yeah, of course it's going to be about her race. You're safe behind your computer, you're safe behind your keyboard. Trump is in office again, and you're all happy, and let's celebrate and love our racist ways. And what's anybody going to do? What's anybody going to say? And no shame, no sense of self awareness. Let's talk about all the things wrong with what you're saying. This is why people think you're stupid. This is why people think you are garbage. Let's go over it, shall we? So, so what? There weren't stories about Mao's China that weren't whitewashed. There aren't stories about shit happening in every corner of the world that wasn't whitewashed by Hollywood. Hollywood, those elites you hate so much because they pander to minorities, or they pander to women, or they pander too much to gay people. Decades upon decades, a fucking century of people of color and women and gays and minorities and anyone who wasn't white being completely outcast from an entire industry. That didn't bother you. But this, in modern times, in recent years, this shit with people starting to learn better, people starting to work in the industry so that characters and people and whatever are more properly represented, or they get equal representation, that bothers you. All of a sudden it bothers you now. It bothers you so much that there are just dang too many black people in your movies, too many black people in your television shows, in your fucking cough syrup commercials. You bitch about cough syrup commercials. And too many gay people and gay sex scenes. Oh, yeah, like we haven't had to put up with sex scenes, gratuitous sex scenes, and all kinds of sex bullshit in movies and TV for decades. No, we never had to worry about that until gay people started being represented and black people started being represented. Recent years, we're talking about like the blink of an eye in relation to our entire film and silver screen history. Now it bothers you. Because it was. They throw out the term whitewashed because up until just like a few short years ago, we still had white women playing Asian women. We had white women playing Chinese women. We had white women playing black women. We had white guys in blackface. We had minstrel shows. We had Sambo representation of blacks in film and in television and in art. We had kids that couldn't draw a picture of Jesus or God as someone who wasn't white without getting thrown under the fucking bus. But a movie where the Little Mermaid is black pisses you off. No self-awareness. Think of how fucking pissed off you cannot stand it. Just a few short years of equal representation or proper representation. It fucking fantasy movies. The Little Mermaid is a fucking fantasy. A fantasy based on a Disney interpretation of a story that it's nothing like. And it makes you cry. You can't handle it. No problem over decades, over lifetimes. With whitewashing, people use the term whitewashing because it's real. It happened and it still does. And you still want it. That's what you're upset about. You're upset at equal representation. You're upset that you can't watch a movie or a TV show or a decongestant commercial without seeing a black person, without seeing a Hispanic, or an Asian woman, or two dads serving chicken noodle soup to their kid. That bothers you. Think about what it was like for all those other minorities and disenfranchised demographics for decades. No, no, you can't think of that. That would require insight. That would require self-awareness to sit there and realize what it is you're saying. No, it isn't every live action movie that comes out now. What you're talking about is a movie you were probably interested in, or you maybe had fond memories of when the last one came out, or whenever it was that you were a kid. Maybe you saw Disney's Little Mermaid animated movie. Maybe you saw that last Train Your Dragon or whatever the sequel is that you're bitching about right now, and you're upset. You're upset because now they're doing remakes on crap that might interest you, and you are going to throw it right the fuck out the window without seeing it, without reading a review, because you saw a black actress in the preview. Again, think about decades and decades of film, of television, of advertisements, posters, magazines, Coca-Cola ads, Thomas Kincaid paintings, where there wasn't a single black or a brown or an Indian or an East Asian or LGBTQ representation whatsoever. Think about generations, about lifetimes people in this country lived through that were not white, that saw movies being made that take place in China with an all-white cast. There's a fucking movie called The African Queen, and it has an all-white cast. There's a movie I saw with my mother about a missionary that goes into China. The extras weren't even Asian, okay? This is what everybody else had to deal with. This was their lives. For years and years and years, multiple generations, living and growing up and just surviving in a nation where the hatred was so palpable and the tension was so palpable because there was zero representation. Zero. Not in an advertisement, not in a Coca-Cola ad, not in a Frigidaire ad. Imagine living a life and your children living lives and your parents living lives where you never saw anyone that looked like you anywhere. Anywhere. And that only helped to perpetuate the cycle of hatred and intolerance and segregation. It was a white man's country. It was a white man's world. Through the decades, through history in this country. And in just a few short years, a literal handful of years, you finally have the representation. You have all kinds of people from all different races, colors, creeds, national, ethnic backgrounds, identities, appearance, They're getting equal representation because they are just as much a part of this country as you are. You selfish, entitled little bitch. And you can't stand it. Just a few years of this. And you want to know why you're sitting there complaining, little bitch? Because you're actually, for the first time in your life, like all these other maggot, hard right, racist assholes like you are just literally for the first time noticing that. Again, no self-awareness, no sense of shame, no sense of irony. That's why you're upset about it. It's not because it's everywhere. It's not because it's always been everywhere. It's not because there's some deliberate agenda to color wash your roles or erase your history. No, that would really suck to have something like that happen, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it suck to never see representation anywhere? Yeah, that would suck, wouldn't it? You're right. That would totally suck. Never getting an Oscar, being snubbed in every field, everywhere you go, never seeing anyone that looks like you smiling on a billboard. Nothing. Nothing. It's all white all the oh, sorry. Well, yeah, like I said, that would really suck to live like that, wouldn't it? Never see representation. And it isn't everywhere. You are not saying this because there is no representation and you never knew what it was like to not be represented in film or television or ads anywhere. No, no, no. You're upset because in recent years, it is the first time you racist pricks are sitting up when you watch TV and movies and advertisements, and you're noticing there's black people in my advertisements. There's gay people in sex scenes now. There is an Asian woman buying a nasal decongestant. There is an Indian guy sitting in a car for a new Ford ad. And look here. There's a whole bunch of people of color in this advertisement. And there's two daddies in this Campbell's soup ad. And you know what? I'm not seeing all white all the time anymore. And it pisses you off. That's what you're upset about. It's not that you're not represented. Because one thing I don't ever want to hear you bitch about, you little damn bitch, is that you're not represented anywhere. You don't know what it's like not to have representation. There are generations, there are people of all ages in this very country that still remember not having proper representation. They have the fucking BET network. Okay, they had the logo network. They had to create special networks and special programming blocks for people that were not your straight white Christians. You had Lifetime, you have women's television. This country had to come up with specialized networks, specialized radio stations, specialized magazines, specialized cartoons, specialized programming blocks, so that people who were not white and privileged and selfish bitches like you could have some representative experience when it comes to music and art and television and film. They had to do that, and they still do that. They still have Lifetime Network for women. They still have BET Network for Black Americans. They still have networks that are heavily LGBTQ oriented. Because in today's America, these people are still spoken down to by little bitches like you. You have no idea what it's like to not be represented. You are bitching, you're whining, you're complaining because what you are interested in, you want to be exclusively for you. You don't want representation. You don't want to be faced with any reality of the world around you when it comes to your movies. And yeah, I know these are fantasy films. They're fantasy. They're fantasy. If you want to make a fantasy movie that goes in accordance with your vision, go ahead, go to GoFundMe, go to Kickstarter, raise some money, and make the all MAGA, all alt-right, all proud boy, alpha male, dumb, ugly little white bitch television and movie corporation. And you can have all white people all the time. You can do that. You know, in the meantime, you have no say in these films. They're movies, they're television, and it's businesses and, business and I don't even know. Who gives a fuck what you want? You don't want it. It's not your movie. It's not your movie. It's a film, a live action film based on a stage production, which is based on nothing. It's not The Wizard of Oz. It's a whole new spin-off direction for that movie, for that universe. Okay, who gives a shit who plays what part? Do you actually care this much about who plays a wicked witch in a stupid fucking musical based on a stage production? Do you even go to see stage productions? What the fuck does that have to do with the race of the actors chosen to play in the movie? Who cares? Who the fuck cares? Again, decades worth of Asian films and Asian history biopics and docudramas and movies taking place all countries, all over the world, all different periods. I literally just saw, what was it called? Tazo, son of Cochise, at my neighbor's place the other night. Or Taco, son of Cochise. On the Grit channel, the Western, the old country Western film channel. It you got to see this shit. I'm not going to tell him what he can watch, so I just sat there and tried to get into it. It's a movie about the native chief, Cochise, who dies. He's in the movie for 2 minutes, and then he's got a good son that wants to lead the tribe in a good direction, and then there's the bad son who is warmongering with other tribes. Every legit last actor was a typical white guy or white woman with more orangey brown foundation on them than Donald Trump, with all the usual stereotypes included in their lame ass acting. This is what I'm talking about. This is what people in this country have had to watch, done with their heritage, with their stories, with their race, with their appearance, with their traditional clothing, their ways of life, their myths, their legends, their religions, all whitewashed. All whitewashed. People have put up with this for lifetimes. But a CGI fantasy movie based on a stage play, or based on a video game, or based on some other fantasy story that does not have an all-white cast, makes you cry. Makes you go fucking insane. Nobody likes them, huh? Why are they made? Why are they made? Why are they made? Why are they making money? Maybe because, you have nothing to do with it. Nobody asked for your opinion. Nobody cares about your opinion on these movies, remaking these movies. Tons of films have been remade over the years. Tons of films. It's not just the ones you're looking at that you notice have black or Asian or gay actors. Tons of movies are remade. Tons of movies are rebooted. Television shows are remade. Television shows are rebooted. TV shows are loose spin-offs of other TV shows that are themselves spin-offs of some secondary character that was once in this show and it used to be played by this lady, but then they switched over to that guy. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Why now does it all of a sudden really, really bother you? You got Snow White there. You probably didn't give a fuck about Snow White until you saw the Hispanic actress was going to play her. I don't really think you probably really appreciated or gave much of a shit about any of these old ass films until someone decided to do a remake, and it bothers you that much all of a sudden that a 1940s cartoon white girl in a forest in a fantasy story taken from a Brothers Grimm story, I believe, that is nothing like the original story. Have you read the original story? I don't think so. Was completely bastardized from the get-go by Disney Corporation. But now that there is a person of color in the modern day remake, you're going fucking ape shit insane. Now you're going ape shit insane about race swapping. No, I don't think you like what your country has become if it means that your country has to learn to understand the reality of itself, which is that it's not all white, straight Christians. It's not. You know, a Disney cartoon in the 40s. She's got the victory rolls or the little pin curls, and she's nice and white and dainty and mops the floor. And in the 70s, she would have long, loose hair, and they would have a hippy-dippy vibe to their soundtrack. If it were remade in the 80s, she'd probably look like Cyndi Lauper. It's remade now, and in 30 or 40 years, they'll probably remake it again. It's just how things go. Well, of course she's going to say she's really, really happy to play the part. This is a big break for her. It would be a big break for you too if you were trying to break through into acting and you managed to land such a great role, such a memorable role. You would be praising the directors and the producers and the casting director and fucking everybody if you were in this actress's position. That's all it is. She's an actress. She's not doing it to get at you, you little bitch, with your selfishness and your entitlement. She's not doing it because she hates MAGA or she wants to declare war on Whitey. She's saying she's very happy with the project because she got her acting gig. These people are breaking through into cinema. That's usually what actresses will say about the cast and the crew and the director and the project. They gotta plug it because they're top billing in it. It's what every actor does. Every actor is going to plug their latest project. I can go anywhere online right now. Give me a fucking Us or People magazine right now. I will open it up to a random page and I will show you the exact same type of article written through an interview with a white actress saying the same shit about her latest movie. You're going to use it as proof of some conspiracy against you. And the fact that we get it, you don't like people that aren't white being in your movies. Your movies, by the way, fantasy, stage productions, made up shit. No, she is. She is because somebody else cast her in the role. Maybe try bringing your rant to the casting director or whoever's in charge. Gee, wouldn't it be awesome if any actor could just insert themselves into any role they wanted? They can't. It's like that argument you people use about the illegal immigrants and their taking your jobs. Nobody takes jobs. This woman didn't insert herself into the role. Somebody gives them the job. Somebody gave her this role. Just like somebody gave the Black Little Mermaid her role. Somebody gave the new Snow White her role. Why don't you go to the director? Why don't you direct this video straight to him and the cast and the crew and all of Hollywood? I'm sure they will care so much what a racist little bitch has to say about stuff she would probably like to see, but now she can't because she saw skin color and race and religion or whatever it was before she even saw the fucking movie and decided she's sick of it. Yeah, cultural appropriation. Exactly. They're mythological. They're made up. Cultural appropriation. But why is it you're upset about this one? Distorting history. Distorting history because let's check this out again. Yeah, just like I thought. Nope, not white holy hander. What history is she worried about them race swapping characters on? What is cultural appropriation? I had to double check just to know how to train your fucking dragon. Because that's part of your history. That's part of your culture, right? You all train dragons. Did you? You selfish, racist, unbelievably dumb-ass little bitch. The mermaid thing you could overlook. The mermaid thing you could overlook because that's just fantasy. But now they've gone too far. Now they're just race swapping and they're fucking with our history of training dragons. Oh my fucking god. I had to double check. I had to look it up. I had to see it to believe it. You can't make this shit up, folks. You can't make this shit up. And one sentence is going to completely contradict the one before it and the one before that because this is who these people are. This is what this little bitch is. They're just selfish, entitled, racist, garbage people. that didn't start whining and crying and complaining about being misrepresented and how fucking unjust it all is to experience racism. That's exactly what this selfish, entitled little bitch is complaining about. It's racism, and it's cultural appropriation, and it's all these horrible things that she's not stopping to think about what the fuck she's saying, that people have gone through for lifetimes in this country with literally no representation anywhere. She's never had to experience that. White people have never had to experience that in this country. But a handful of movies, CGI movies about a mermaid or Snow White or a fairy flittering through the fucking forest or a person training a dragon, and it makes them cry. It gets them so pissed off at the audacity and the injustice of it all. A handful of films compared to decades upon decades of no representation for anyone else. This is what they get upset about. It's like people that don't look like them or are not like them, they can have nothing. They can have absolutely nothing in this little bitch's world. And that's exactly what it is. It's garbage, racist people. Forget about the history. That's a huge part of it she's conveniently not thinking about. You know, no common sense, no understanding of history, no insight, no empathy. But it's the fact that this is over a handful of years of this kind of thing. A handful of years where they're turning on their television sets and they're going to their movie theaters and they're streaming programs. And by no means is it completely transformed. By no means do they have no representation. What they're pissed off about is that they turn on their television sets or they turn on their phones or their laptops. And it's not that they're seeing what it really is, which are occasional movies with black people and Hispanic people and Asian people or gay people, occasional movies, more commercials, advertisement. It's not that other people are getting more of a fair shake. It's that they're noticing more that they are not everywhere. They are not everywhere. So all of a sudden, it's injustice, it's race swapping, it's cultural appropriation. They can't have it all. And that makes them cry. And, you know, there you go with her contradicting herself because, you know, it's not the mermaids, it's not the Wicked Witch of the West, you know, because that's just fantasy. Why the fuck did you put it up there then? But no, it's not that because it's fantasy. It's about this character. It's about this character in a CGI movie about dragons. That is cultural appropriation. The Mermaid and Snow White and a Wicked Witch of the West and all of that, that's just fantasy. But this CGI film that is about like Nordic people training dragons, that's different. She doesn't even see how fucking stupid she sounds. But that's who these people are. That's who these people are. It doesn't make sense because it's not true. It doesn't sound right because, of course, it doesn't make sense. It's just fucking racism. That's all it is. She is not oppressed. She is not being color washed. White people are not going down. White people are suffering from no lack of representation. It is pure and simple racism and hatred. And this is why people think people like this little bitch are garbage. It's not logical. It doesn't make sense. It is absolutely untrue what you're saying. And that's because there is no rhyme or reason behind it. You're just fucking garbage.